Hi, Peter Salemi reporting from BICOG Media Studios. You know, if you've been watching the mainstream media like I have, it's unbelievable, these people, even during a crisis. Even during this time of crisis of the coronavirus and everything being shut down and locked down, these people in the mainstream media still find time. They can't resist. They can't resist spreading lies and twisting the news around to try and blame Donald Trump for this crisis, and of course call him a racist and a bigot and so on. Now, Donald Trump is not a racist. He's proven that time and time again, but it doesn't matter to the mainstream press. They're still trying to label him a racist, a bigot, because the 2020 election is coming in November, and they're trying to oust him from power. So they're trying to use everything in their arsenal, twisting the news, everything in their arsenal to have Donald Trump lose this next election. It's amazing. Amazing to me. I can't believe I used to listen to these people before the election of Donald Trump, meaning before 2016. I used to watch the mainstream media. I didn't think anything of it until the election of Donald Trump. And then I saw how the numbers were skewed and the way they twist the news and report the news, how they would leave large segments out of things that he said. And they twist it and turn it to make him look like a bigot, and it's just not true. Like what happened in was it Charlottesville? When he said that there were good people on both sides. That's the clip that they showed you. But what they didn't show you was before he said that, he said, forget the neo-Nazis and the white supremacists and everybody. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about good people who were on both sides of the issue. You didn't see that part, did you? You had to watch the whole press conference to know exactly what he said, but not the mainstream media. They lifted that part out to try and make him look like a neo-Nazi, a white supremacist, a bigot, a racist, and so on, and so on. So the mainstream media, they've been doing that ever since the election of Donald Trump, and now with this crisis, with the coronavirus, it hasn't stopped. Here, the New York Post says this: even during the corona crisis, liberal media can't resist spreading lies. Donald Trump speaks during a brief press briefing with the coronavirus task force, and it says, with much of the country now under quarantine, the nation desperately needs reliable information about the coronavirus. Unfortunately, politics has infected much of the mainstream media's coverage of the threat. And that the truth. They're turning this political. It says here, on the heels of the president's announcement of sweeping travel ban from other countries and declaration of emergency, a Sunday CNN portion here read, Trump on coronavirus, from hoax to national emergency. You see, they're still reporting that Donald Trump thought this was all a hoax, and it's just simply not true. Notice, the trouble is that Trump never called the coronavirus a hoax. This is an inaccurate and misleading distortion of what he said, what he has said, created and propagated by major media, and CNN won't stop repeating it. Of course, CNN hates Zucker there, hates Donald Trump, and he has said in his board meetings that we gotta have at least 90% of negative coverage of Donald Trump. They're not going to cover anything good that Donald Trump does. I mean, that what kind of mainstream media is that? Like, just report the stupid news and let me make up my own mind on how I'm going to process it. Don't put your spin on the news. Don't put your twist on the news. Just tell me the news and let me make up my own mind. No, but they won't do that because they hate Donald Trump. They don't want him to win a second term. It says the trouble is that Trump never called it a hoax. CNN won't stop it. The Washington Post columnist Dana Milbank tweeted out, remember this moment? Trump in South Carolina just called the coronavirus a hoax. The tweet has since been liked more than 162,000 times. Milbank subsequently wrote a column repeating the claim. But anyone watching Trump's rally in the Palmetto State that day knows this wasn't what Trump said. Trump said that when he used the word hoax, he was referring to the Democrats finding fault with his administration's response to coronavirus, not the virus itself, noted factcheck.org, which generally leans to the left. So even Check.org is saying, no, that's wrong. Milbank was forced to update his column, noting Trump said Saturday the hoax referred to was Democrats pinning the blame for the virus on him. And guess what? The mainstream media hasn't stopped. They're trying to pin the virus on him, as I'll show you a little later on. Milbank's misleading tweet is still up, however, shamelessly uncorrected. Isn't that amazing? The tweet's still up because they still want to perpetuate this myth that Trump called it a hoax. They're trying to make Trump look bad in every way possible during this crisis. It says, do a quick scan on social media, and the talking point that Trump called the coronavirus a hoax is still being spread far and wide more than 2 weeks later. And even Joe Biden is making this false claim. There's simply no excuse for CNN still be repeating this false claim. That happens to be a Democrat talking point. And this is just one example from a mountain of similar distortions. Politically loaded errors have been a prominent feature of the coronavirus coverage. Then they talk about Anthony Fauci saying the New York Times says that the administration is muzzling him, and he's saying this is simply not true. It says the media doesn't seem to be interested in real accountability at this critical moment. Too often, major outlets have failed to report the truth because they seem more concerned with influencing November's election than making sure your family survives the next few months. Isn't that incredible? But, you know, that's how the mainstream media is, because they're all a bunch of socialists, social justice warriors pretending to be journalists. That's exactly what they are. And here they go on. They're trying to make Trump look like a racist. Here, Trump calls COVID-19 the Chinese virus, despite the WHO warning the term fuels stigma. They try and make it look like Trump is a racist. If you see, I don't know if you have seen this tweet that's out on Twitter now. They're trying to make him look like a racist, but there's a reason why he's calling it the Chinese virus. Here's another one by Global Times News. What a president! By labeling the COVID Chinese virus, Trump tries to hide his administration's lack of prevention and control measures against coronavirus. He passes the buck to China, trying to prove that he is not responsible for the current situation the U.S. is facing. Donald Trump is responsible for the virus? Why do you think he's calling it a Chinese virus? Well, first of all, they're trying to make it sound like it's racist to call this virus a Chinese virus. Is it racist? Well, let's go to this clip by Liz Wheeler, and she'll explain how it is not racist. Take a look at this clip.
Tonight, I challenge all the liberals who are whining that Wuhan virus is a racist name to show me their tweets condemning Ebola, Zika, West Nile virus, Lyme disease, German measles, Hong Kong flu, and Spanish flu, which are all named for the locations where the infection originated or was discovered, just like the Wuhan virus. Oh, wait, you can't, because none of those disease names are racist, and neither is the name Wuhan virus. Your Wuhan outrage is fake, and you're all hypocrites who never cared about diseases named for locations before. In fact, all the liberals parroting the Wuhan virus's racist talking points are literally acting like stooges for the Chinese Communist Party, because it was the Chinese Communist state-run media that started that silly narrative. As early as the beginning of February, the Chinese Communist propaganda machine was churning out this garbage narrative, claiming that even recognizing that the coronavirus originated in China was racist and xenophobic. Why propagate this dumb narrative? To take the blame off themselves, because they know this global pandemic is their fault. So the Chinese Communist media is playing the American left like a fiddle, tricking liberals in the U.S. into parroting their stupid propaganda. Meanwhile, the Chinese Communist Party has lied, staged cover-ups, refused responsibility, silenced dissidents, denied medical care to people thanks to their government-run healthcare system, and spread a deadly virus all around the globe. And all the American left can do is say the name is racist? Give me a break. All you need to do is ask yourself this: where did the Chinese coronavirus originate? Wuhan, China is the answer. Only the Chinese Communist Party and evidently American liberals are nutty enough to pretend that it's racist for microbiologists to identify diseases by their location of origin. Call it whatever you want. Coronavirus, COVID-19, the Chinese flu. The name Wuhan virus is not racist. Liberals are silly.
All right, so that's Liz Wheeler's take on it, and that's absolutely true. The mainstream media, because they're all socialists, and socialist is a socialist is a socialist. We've proved it time and again. Project Veritas has proven it time and again that they're all socialists. They're just following the socialist, communist, Chinese propaganda because China wants to cover up and take the blame off of themselves because they know this is all their fault. And that's why Donald Trump is calling it the Chinese virus, because it comes from there. Is calling it the Spanish flu racist, or the Ebola virus racist? No, no one's ever said that was racist. So why is this racist? Well, it's not. And Donald Trump's making the point that it's come from there, it's their fault, and the Chinese propaganda machine that the mainstream media is following is trying to make it like, oh, if you say that, that's racist. They're trying to take the blame off themselves. So Spencer Fernando tweets here, and I've tweeted this all on my account if you want to take a look at these tweets. Communist China is actively spreading propaganda, falsely claiming the U.S. caused the Wuhan virus. That's where it came from, Wuhan, in China, attempting to distract from the CCP, covering it up, and lying for months. It would be absurd for the U.S. president to let that go unanswered. The CCP has surely hurt the world, and this is why he's calling it the Chinese virus. And it is the Chinese virus. Didn't come from here. Didn't come from the United States. Where did it come from? Wuhan in China. Now, just recently, the Prime Minister of Canada finally, even though Roxham Road is still open and illegal immigrants are still crossing over, but finally he closed the borders. Now, Chinese Charlie Kirk tweeted this, breaking, that Justin Trudeau just announced that he will close Canada's borders to non-citizens due to the Chinese virus pandemic. Then he says, I wonder when the media will label him a racist and a xenophobe the way they did Donald Trump. You think they're going to label him a racist and a xenophobe? Absolutely not, because Justin Trudeau is one of them. He is on their side. He is on their team. So he won't do it to him, but they'll do it to Donald Trump because they hate Donald Trump and they want to see him lose the next election. So again, the mainstream media is continuing to lie to the public because they hate Donald Trump. And you know what? If Donald Trump found a cure for cancer, they'd probably spin it away in a way to make it look like it was a terrible thing as well. Unbelievable what's going on. We got to stop listening to the mainstream media. Reporting here from the studios at BICOG Media, this is Peter Salemi.